All right. Hello everybody. It's Karen and today is we're at the end of Q2. It's hard to believe, but we are. Let me make sure. January, February, March, April, May, June. Yes, end of June. It is July. And so today I just wanted to discuss some historical information about the Park City market. So I am filming this video. It is still June. And so our numbers aren't exactly in, but I wanted to give you some numbers to give you some frame of reference for where we are versus where we've been. So what I think is the most fascinating stat to share is where we were even as early as February of 2020, sitting at about 250 listings and now hovering around that 700 mark. Historically, we are normally closer to 12, 14, 1600 listings. So we're still extremely low. But today, I've been getting a lot of questions about where's the market headed? Is it going to crash? Are the prices going to come down? How do I plan for all of this? And these are all really great questions. But I think to shed some light on what the Park City market is like is it really takes some sharing of where we've been and why I'm just going to say it, why I believe that Park City continues to be a great place to invest your money, a great place to move to, an area that is continuing to grow. In case you haven't heard, we are creating the very first ski resort, the first one to be built in the last 40 years, where the last one, the most recent one, was actually Deer Valley. So we have a brand new ski resort going in, which means this is a town and a city that continues to invest money, to expand, and to really they're really putting the infrastructure in to accommodate for all the people that continue to come to Park City. So nobody's really predicting that all of a sudden Park City is just going to lose its value all of a sudden. So let's walk through some stats with you. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Obviously, if you have any questions, just pop them in down below and I will get to them. If you're tuning in a little bit later or once we, later in the year, please feel free to still write comments, ask your questions, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the bell to receive notifications. So let's dive right into it. I'm going to share my screen. Just bear with me while I set this up. Okay. All right. So we are breaking this down. The stats that you see here are provided by the MLS, the Park City MLS. These are not numbers that I come up with on my own. So just keep that in mind. I'm going to add some filters to this just so you understand what we're looking at. Looking at single family homes, condos in multi-unit buildings, and townhouse condos in the Park City limits and Snyderville Basin, which is 84060 and 84098. Okay, so again, to understand the market, we have to understand where we've been from a historical standpoint. So this particular stat, I think, says a lot about the market, about where we've been, and about where we're going. So before we break into the numbers, I want to point out this little purple dotted line. I hope you can see it. As you can see, the market, and this goes all the way back in case you can't see to Q1 of 2007. I have this done by quarters. You could see that this purple line, again, this is number of closed sales. It just continues to go up, right? We obviously had a blip on the radar. In grand scheme of things, it's a blip on the radar with the pandemic. But in this number, you can see that the sales continue to be at this steady rate. Right now, you might be wondering, why do they go up? Why are they down? Like, that's a really weird number. And obviously, I'm stretched out really far. But when you look really closely, you see that most of these bottoms here are Q1. Okay. So Q1. So what does that mean? The fewest number of sales on an annual basis tend to happen during the winter months. Now, why is that? Well, think about it. Think about what happened in Q4. Q4, we have a lot of holidays. Q4, we're just starting to get into the ski season. People are coming to town to ski, to snowboard, to be with family. You're maybe here for about a week or two. And most people, at least a lot of my clients, they come in and they want to ski, so I can only take them out early in the day or after the ski season, after the day. So once the mountain closes, so they have more limited time to look, and that's why we generally have fewer sales in the winter. Also, we tend to have fewer sales because not everybody wants to put their home on the market when there's snow on the ground. So it's a very purposeful thing, and you can see here that the point continues to be proved year after year. All of these valleys right here, these are all Q1, including Q1 2020. Okay. And then we all obviously know what happened here, but this is Q1 2021. So it immediately rebounded. So you could see on a steady flow here that it continues to just go up. Okay. Now, let's look at median sales price. I love this number because it shows you, from a historical standpoint, when people say to me, I'm waiting for prices to go down, if you're looking at something that you want to flip within a couple of years, I absolutely understand that. Real estate, in my opinion, is something that you should buy and hold and wait, not to wait to buy at the perfect time. Okay. Because as you can see from this chart, again, I'm looking at this just from the purple line, and I'll try to get out of the way here. You can see that the rate that it continues to go up every single year. Okay. So the last time we saw it go down was really just, during the Great Recession, which was caused by the banks and kind of irresponsible lending, which is a very basic way to put it, that banks were kind of giving money away to basically anybody with a pulse. But you could see that since then, and even during that recession, prices barely went down, and then they just continued to go up year over year. So, again, like we look at where are those peaks and valleys. This is really only important, in my opinion, if you're trying to time the market and maybe time when you buy and you have that flexibility to buy in a different quarter. But most people have those goals, and especially for Park City, they have the goal of coming out at a certain time. They have a certain amount of time to buy, unless they're in town and they're just waiting. But remember, most people here in town who purchase here are either purchasing a second home, so this is more of a want than a need, or they're trading up here in town, so maybe from a condo to a house, or maybe they're downsizing from a house to a condo, or maybe they're simply selling that house or condo and moving out of the market. So this is not a traditional primary residential area. So just keep that in mind. But the thing to note, and my key point here, is that prices continue to go up. So if you're saying, I'm going to wait until the market goes down, well, it might go down temporarily, but grand scheme of things year over year, and I'm just looking at the numbers at the bottom, like the prices might do this a little bit, but then they continue to go up. So 2020, they kind of went like this, and 21, but normally it goes up drastically, which is a healthy market. That is flat out, that is a healthy market. Okay, so let's look at the last stat that I wanted to point out for the day, which is the percent of list price received. So what does this mean? Now, I'm not sure. I will be honest here. I am not sure if, this is divided by the final ask price. Okay, so the final ask price. So this is not necessarily the list price, but it's the final ask price. So that strike price, which is the price that strikes an offer. What we see on this chart, again, if we look at this, we see that there we go, that the percentage tends to be relatively stable. The only time we saw this shift a little bit in the favor of sellers actually was when we were rebounding after the Great Recession, and again after, during/after the pandemic. But historically, what we see here is numbers, and I'm just going to pick some here. So this is Q1 of 2011. We were at 92.8%. We all know 2011 was not a very strong market. Shoot up a few years to 2014, we're at 95%. Q3 of 2015 at 97. All of these are hovering around 96, 97%. We see a little dip here in Q2 2020, which we all know what happened then. And then we see an it just goes super high in the rest of 21 and even in Q2 of Q1 of 2022. It maintains at about 100%. So the point of this is if you're thinking, will there be deals? Will I be able to get something 10, 20% under ask? We always have to remember that there are those sellers who price their properties with these wishful thinking. Are they real sellers? Most of the time they are, but there are certainly sellers out there that are not real sellers and they just want to test the market. So they sit and they sit and they sit, and eventually, if they get motivated, they drop the price. But it's a question of where is it going to drop to, how far down, and what we see from these numbers is that people still tend to pay within about 5% of that final ask price. So is the final ask price the initial ask price? Maybe in today's market, we are seeing a lot more sellers adjust. Most of them are adjusting down, which I think is a good sign. It means that they're listening to their realtor, and it means that they are adjusting with the buyer demand. So I'm going to stop sharing the screen here. And with that, I want to remind you that it is really hard to look at the market just for where we are today. In Q2 2022, we've had so many drastic things attacking us, whether it's the war, whether it's inflation, interest rates, pandemic. I mean, we've got all of these factors that are going on. And it's a lot, right? I will admit, this is impacting everybody that I meet, even myself, my own mindset. It's really hard to get my head around it. But the reality is that housing is not all of a sudden going to become people will always need a roof over their head. And regardless of what the banks do, and in that time frame that I showed you, let's say since 2007, the interest rates are kind of back to where they were back in 2009 at 5%. So we're not at that much of a difference. Yes, prices have gone up, but prices are supposed to go up, and interest rates are supposed to go, they're supposed to be at a stable rate. And 3% and 2% that we were seeing was just not normal. So I just want to remind you that what we're headed for is hopefully a more normal experience, a more normal buying experience where buyers don't have to bid against, 5, 10, 15, in Austin, 75 other people, where sellers actually have the chance to make their decisions, to do the work that they want to do. And quite frankly, where the agents, the realtors, have to actually do the work to get the house sold. And now more than ever, who you work with matters. If you've got an agent who thinks that they can still sell in this market the way that they did in 2021, you've got the wrong agent. We've got to do more to get those numbers, to get that house sold, to get that median price up, and to for you as a seller, and to get the most money out of your home that's possible. So if you're looking for an agent who's going to tell you like it is and not going to sugarcoat things, and you need to make a decision, I would love to chat with you. And if you would just like to test the market and go with your gut and what you believe might happen, I'm more than happy to chat with you about that, the pros and the cons, and figure out if there might be a better strategy and a better way to help you reach your goals. So if you've got any questions, again, please leave a comment down below. Please be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell to receive notifications. And if you like what you're seeing here, please continue to watch the videos. I've got a few more that are coming up right behind this about the Park City market, about what it's like in Park City. And I hope that if you have any questions about Park City, that you think of me. All right, thanks everyone, and we'll chat with you soon. Bye.